back to At Home with Cathy. I thought it might be a good idea to do a little recap of the 4 projects we've done so far in this second season. We realized when we were shooting the videos that because I actually have to finish them, we don't always get to finish one and have it ready for the start of the next one. So I thought, let's just show you what we've done so far. We've done 4 projects, all things that have been found around our house. The first one was the coastal filing cabinet, just a simple little brown fake wood filing cabinet that we did 2 drawers in a coastal theme. Very sweet. The second one were the pair of stools, the tall stools for the dining room in Scandinavian pink, which we dark waxed and then did a little white waxing over it just to soften it up a little with a sweet little stencil on the seat. Those are very practical items and now very pretty. The third item we did was the plant table. I'm going to check that. Plant table. We get a little mixed up. The plant table was an old oak table with a lot of staining from water over the years on the top. And we've done it in a beautiful emerald or emperor silk red with the graphite on top. And what may have become my favorite way to wax, the wet waxing. The shine on that table is unbelievable. Fourth project, and every time I finish one I think, oh, this is my favorite. But this one really was. The found chair, an old oak rocking chair we found by the side of the road. Gave it a light stripping, I guess, of the varnish that had started to come off just to reduce some of the shine and to allow that grain of the wood to soak in some of the paint. We did it in old white. We washed it back, gave it a beautiful clear wax, made a new cushion for it, and that thing is just beautiful to sit in. And of course the cat has given it his approval. So those are the 4 projects we've done, all things we found around the house. All found in this book from Annie Sloan, The Quick and Easy Paint Transformations from Your Home. And these really are things that are in our house. So we're going to get started on our 5th project of this series. This dresser we use in the dining room. This dresser was given to me by a very good friend who was moving and no longer had space for it. It's been in the family for years and years and years. It even has the delivery tag still on the back from Simpson Sears way back when. So we're going to get started on this. The finish we're going to do is the Venetian inspired duck egg blue, and in this picture Annie used old white, but I'm going to use cream because the cream in the dining room is a little bit more yellow and that's what I'd like to see. So we're going to get started now. This is all washed and ready to go, and we're going to prep it and start painting. So setting up to paint in this Venetian style is a little bit different than anything I've painted before. One thing I really like about this video series is it always challenges me to do something a little bit outside of my comfort zone. And I have to tell you, the hardest part is always picking the colors. But what you do for this is we're going to use a flat brush and we're actually going to work with 2 colors. I've got my duck egg blue here, and I've poured some of it into this very old bread pan. I'm using cream as my second color, and I've poured some of that into the other bread pan. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip one corner of the brush into blue and the other corner into cream. And obviously this is eventually going to get mixed up a little bit, which is why I'm working from this pan. But the idea is to start with the blue, work it in, and start to work a little bit of the cream in, so that I'm actually going to be painting with 2 colors at once. But when I want to control blue, I'll work with the blue side. I can always go back and dip a little bit more blue. Now I don't necessarily want to blend them too much. I had to sand the top of this dresser. It had quite a bit of the varnish was coming off. And I sanded it to get rid of all the loose varnish. And you'll see from the way I've done the drawers, do this. I've taken out my top drawer, my middle drawer, and my bottom drawer, and I have them stacked. And by stacking them, because I'm only painting the fronts, the top, and the side, I don't need to take everything out of the drawer. This drawer I just put in a little cloth in case I get some drips from working on the top drawer. But I've got a drawer facing me, a drawer on the other side, a drawer this side, so I just keep working side to side. I don't have to empty them that way. These two I don't have to empty because they're not going to slide in and touch anything else. I can leave them out while I paint them. So I'm just going to keep going back and forth with my duck egg blue and my cream. And I think this is going to take a little while to do, but I think the effect is going to be quite gorgeous. And of course, when I get to the inside, I'm going to be painting the cream on the inside of the lines here. So I'll paint it to that point and then do cream after it's dried, after the blue has dried. Now the real trick here is I really want to get it all done in one coat because I'm not going to be able to go back and forth and reproduce what I've done. So this is going to be a fairly thick coat of paint. And I think I'll get a little more confident with it as I go. It's a beautiful combination, the cream and the duck egg blue. So now that you can see how that's going to go along, I'm going to make sure this piece has quite a few scratches and nicks in it. So the paint I have to make sure I get the paint into those. And we'll finish the top, but then I'll go along and I'm just going to show you the drawer. So we're going to start with the blue again. And I just keep turning my brush. I do want to paint inside of that line because I want to make sure that I at least have that little inside line covered by some paint. And I'm going to go along and just paint the top. Because the paint's not very drippy, I really don't have to worry about it flicking onto my linens. I could be careful and put cloth in there. But I found I've painted quite a few drawers and I find it really doesn't tend to fall into the drawers. When I've got this done, I'll go back and I'll see if I need to add a little more cream or a little more blue to get the effect. Because I don't want it to just be a blend. Just touch the edge. You don't really see the edges of these drawers once they're they slide so firmly into the dresser. I don't need to really worry about seeing them. Then I do the same thing and go down the side. I have to keep looking at my brush to make sure that I'm on the blue or the cream side, just to keep it from being too mixed up together. But this has nice indentations here in the finish of the wood on the sides, so it'll take the paint quite nicely. I'm going to go along and we're just going to do this whole thing all the way down, and I do have the bar. Might move that white tablecloth just out of the way. This is the trim piece. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. I'm going to work on this and we'll come back and have a look at it in a few minutes. So we have the combination of the duck egg blue and the cream, and I've got it started, but I'm going to show what the next step is. My curious cameraman wants to know what we do with the hardware on this. Sometimes I would remove this hardware. and it, maybe it needs just to be cleaned and polished and put back on. But I'm going to paint right over it because I want it to disappear on this dresser. We have a line here. I'm going to try and stay within the lines. I may have to come back and do a second coat because the red on this wood, but I'm just going to paint this hardware. So what I do is I paint the whole thing, lift it up, wiggle my brush, paint the back of it. Whoops. And I'm doing this all in the cream. That's what I want on the inside of these drawers. Keep it nice line here. I could tape it. I might have to if I want it to be really, really perfect, but painted furniture I don't think is supposed to be really, really perfect. That's kind of why you painted it. It wasn't necessarily perfect furniture in the first place. It had lived life, or has lived life. So I'm just going to go along here. What we're going to do, we have a little tiny indentation all the way around this drawer, so we're going to come back once the cream has dried, and we're going to take a little bit of primer red and just with a small brush accent the inside of that. So if I get a little bit of cream in there, that's okay. Just have to go a little bit more slowly to get that. Get that nice finish. Flip this down and let it dry. And then when the hardware has dried, I'll wax it. I'll probably give it a second coat, but I'll wax it just exactly the same as we will do the paint on the drawers, and it will wear beautifully. So this was a new product out from Annie Sloan last year. She had a lot of people asking about doing detail when you do finishing on things or little intricate painting jobs. So she created a set of 4 brushes. You've got a wide flat brush, a smaller flat brush, a round, large round, and a very fine round. So today what I'd like to do to finish the piece here, we're going to take primer red, and I like to drip a little bit. Oops, I got my companion here. I put a little bit on the lid of the can, then I have something to kind of, you sort of want to dry your paint out a little bit. You don't want a big gob at the end. Okay, so you're not being very helpful. And I just want to fill in a little detail here. All the way around of the drawers, it starts across the top and it runs all the way around. And it'll just bring out a little bit of the detail on this dresser. We used primer red as a stripe in the dining room cushions, so it's nice to see it again somewhere in the dining room. And this is probably the trickiest part. It's hard to keep your hands steady to do this, but you know what? It's a hand-painted piece of furniture. If the detail isn't 100% perfect, that's going to be part of the charm. I don't want to make it messy, but I don't have a guarantee that the groove was cut 100% perfectly when it was put in here in the first place. It was when this piece of furniture was made. So I'm going to go all the way around, and it's just going to add a little bit of color. It's going to separate my duck egg blue cream combination from the cream that's in the center of the drawers. And as I work my way down this dresser, it's going to frame the drawers on the front of the dresser. I'll probably use it in another place. I might do a line under here, the primer red, somewhere else. I'll certainly do it on the top here. I will probably put it here, but I'm going to have to wait. This just needs a little bit more drying time, and I might go in and do all of the grooves in the detail at the top. But we'll just see how that looks. It might just be that I do right in here. But I also have to get a stool to do that because I'm not very tall, and this dresser is going to require me to be up a little bit. I like painting dressers though. They're quite fast to do. Go all the way around. If you use your hand as a guide and try to move your whole hand, it tends to go a little bit better. And I think it doesn't matter how good you are, you always paint better either left or right. One side is going to look a little bit better. Take your time doing this. It's all part of the painting fun. When we have all of the details done and the painting is completely finished on this, I'm just going to clear wax the whole thing. You don't want to change any of the colors. Don't need to add any white with the white wax. Just want nice clear colors. There. So I'll continue all along, and the next time you see this piece, we'll have it all detailed and it will have its wax on it. So that won't be at the beginning of the next show because we're learning. We can't quite make that work, but we will show you the finished piece in an upcoming show. Thank you very much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you at the store. Come on in with your paint projects and we'll have a chat. Honestly, the hardest part is picking the color. Thanks.